All right, well, let's head out to the studio in the sky. We've got the mayor of Normal, Illinois on the line with us here. Chris Koos, how you doing today, sir?
I am doing quite well, thank you. I lost your audio.
There we go. There we go. Jeez, I have a little cough, so I hit the cough button and didn't hit back. All kinds of technical difficulties, but hey, here we are. We're back at it again here. Route 66, that's what we're talking about today. Normal, Illinois. Now, what county is Normal, Illinois in?
It's in McLean County,
McLean
and we're
County.
twin
Okay.
cities with Bloomington, Illinois.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Hmm.
I did a magazine back in Bloomington back in the day when we would partner with newspapers. It was called From House to Home. It was a home magazine that,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
yeah, it featured local cover, but a lot of the stories were national inside because a story on, Viking appliances is good anywhere, but so it was kind of a little bit of a hybrid. But anyway, well, I'm glad to hear that we still got a little bit of a memory there with that. But let's talk about Route 66. It's a nice area. The Normal Bloomington area is. How's Route 66's condition? Is there any improvements happening there? Is it in good condition? Is it a cobblestone road?
No, it's asphalt. It's paved, and
Okay.
actually, going north, which I tend to be on more, is the road's in good condition and carries a lot of traffic. And we've also put parallel bike trail along Route 66. And we've gone just a little far, north of Lexington, and we're south down into Funk's Grove area and are going to connect with Atlanta. We're trying to get a pretty extensive bike trail network that parallels Route 66.
And we're still talking about Illinois here. I heard Lexington, I heard Atlanta. So we're still talking about
We're
Illinois.
still talking Illinois, Lexington,
Okay.
Illinois, and Atlanta, Illinois.
Well, with some of these bike paths nowadays, you never know. But
That's
I
right.
do know there is quite a push for the bike paths along Route 66. I saw there's a group down in New Mexico. They're even going to do like some kind of bike. I can't remember if it's a bike park or a bike obstacle course or a bike arena, something along those lines for people with their pedal bicycle. You're talking about pedal bicycle, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Is there much of that, by the way? Much of that in Illinois for Route 66?
Well, you've asked the right question because I just actually sold my business that I had for 50 years, which was a bike shop.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Nope.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a plug then. If I understand you're not in business if you sold it, but I bought my son a $3,000 bicycle, and people would always ask me why this and that, and I said because when I was his age, when I was 16,
Hmm.
I spent close to $1,000 on. It's called I think Specialized is the name of it.
Oh, yeah.
I still have it today. I
Hmm.
still have it today. And so that's what I tell people is that if you invest in a good frame on a bicycle,
Hmm.
you'll never need to buy another one. Never, ever, ever. And that's true. And I'm glad to see that some people are doing. Is it mountain biking? Is it 10 speed bikes? Are they a thing?
It's,
10, yeah, 10 speeds are.
uh,
They're for the long distance people, right?
well, the ten speeds are now anywhere from 21 to 24 speeds. Um, so there's more speeds, but it's still the same kind of bike.
Okay,
So
yeah,
yeah, it's more for long distance riding. And where we are in Illinois, it's pretty flat,
yeah.
and we've got a lot of farm to market roads out there. So there's really good road bike riding in this area.
Up in Fargo, where I'm from originally, Minneapolis, Fargo, that kind of that area. So Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. We have the Fargo Marathon, which a lot of people, the only reason they run it is to try to break personal best records because it's so flat.
But it's windy.
Yeah, you do have to worry about that sometimes, but
Hmm.
at any rate, so um, let's talk about Normal, some of the, like I said, updates, improvements, just some things that Normal offers to the Route 66 travelers. Now, how far are you from Chicago?
We're about 120 miles from Chicago.
And how far is that in terms of minutes? Because Chicago time is a little bit different than outside of Chicago time.
Hmm.
I would imagine it would probably be that way to about Joliet, where the distribution center is, with some
Hmm.
heavy traffic. I don't know that. I haven't driven it in a while, but my guess is
It's
that hasn't changed.
it's probably 2.5 hour drive, depending on how aggressive you are.
Okay, so and what kind of stops do you have? Because that's a two and a half, 3 hours. That's when a lot of people will stop for a few hours. They'll
Hmm.
get out and they'll have dinner, they'll have lunch, they'll get out, they'll go to the bathroom, gas up, do these types of things. So what does Normal have to offer for people if they want to maybe stop by and get a bite to eat, or even do you have the big giants there or anything?
No, that's Atlanta, Illinois. That's got the
Okay.
big giants. We have probably the first thing people are going to encounter is a Tudor style gas station that was built for Route 66, and we own it, and it's completely refurbished, and it has a gift shop in it. It originally had a gas station with a diner in it, and we'd like to see a diner come back into that at some point. But right now, it's a gift shop, and it's a very popular stop. And it's right across the street from an old orphanage called Illinois uh, Soldiers and Sailors Children's Home, which is now become a multi-purpose uh, space. It's probably 30 acres with some historic buildings on it. It's right across from that station, and we have a large Route 66 Normal sign there, so it's a photographic stop. But as you go down Route 66 into Normal, you'll go near our uptown area where there's lots of restaurants, hotels, things like that.
What's the name of the filling station?
It is called,
Is that the Sprague's one? Sprague's
yeah,
Super Service?
Sprague's. Hmm.
Sprague's? Okay.
I was going to give you the full name here.
Sure. And that's been
Oh, that's the wrong sheet.
no, that's okay. That's been updated and everything like that. You guys aren't looking for funds to renovate it or anything? Because I know a
We
lot of
did a
times.
total renovation on it. It's
Oh, you
called
did? Okay.
Sprague's Super Service, and it's at 305 East Pine Street.
Sprague's Super Service. Okay.
Hmm. And it's got the old style gas pump, not active, but they're decorative in front of the station. So it looks like an old 30s gas station
And you say that's like the first thing you see coming in from the east, huh?
from the north.
Oh, from the north. Sorry.
Yeah. Hmm.
So yeah, I imagine that's a very popular stop then.
Yeah, they keep a guest register, and we've got people all over the world signing that.
What would what do you think is next as far as for popularity for people stopping
So,
by?
you know, in Normal, according to my brother who ran the local history museum, we've still got some neighborhoods from the 20s and 30s that still have brick streets, and people like to see that, and you drive by that on your way in. Normal physically isn't that big of a location. So you're going to find yourself in Bloomington where they have some features there. There's a gift shop in the basement of the history museum there, things like that. But it's our intention to develop more along Route 66. One thing that we do get, and that would be my business that I don't own anymore, a bike shop. We constantly had people stopping for emergency repairs or buying product from all over the world. And you could tell when they rolled up in the parking lot, it's like, oh, they're on Route 66.
Yeah. Are there any places to eat that are in Normal?
Oh, yeah. There's in our uptown area, there's lots of places to eat. We have Medici Restaurant, which is a very popular restaurant. We have Hacienda Leon, a Mexican restaurant. We've got an Irish pub. We've got I consider one of the best Chinese restaurants in the Midwest area, in the Uptown area. So there's lots of eating options.
And how big is Normal?
We're about 52,000 people.
Okay. And your twin, is there a river in between?
Nope. There's a street
Invisible
called Division
line?
Street.
Just the Division Street?
Yeah. And we do have Illinois State University, which is in Normal, and you'll go past that on Route 66, and it's a beautiful campus.
Is that the
And
Redbirds?
Yep, Redbirds.
Okay.
Mhm.
They play the Bison, don't they? The NDS, or they used to, NDSU, right? North Dakota
Yep.
State?
hmm
That's my alma mater, North Dakota State.
Yep.
That just decided to jump up to the Mountain West Conference in football.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of paying
We actually
5,000, they're
ISU,
going to spend 15 million. What's that?
ISU played them in the national championship 4 years ago in
Yeah,
football.
didn't you? And didn't you upset the Bison either 2 years ago or this year or something?
This year.
Yeah,
Upset
it was
the Bucs.
this year in the first round of the
Mhm.
playoffs, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was that could have heard a pin drop in Fargo that day, that's for sure. Um, how about is there we mentioned that like the driving through is it all interstate or is it
No,
is there
it's actually as it comes through, it parallels the Interstate 55.
parallels?
Yeah, the Route 66 does,
Okay.
and so a lot of times when you're on Route 66, you're probably 100 yards from the interstate. So it's a close parallel to that. When it comes into town, it's all on city streets.
Any muffler men, anything like that?
I'm not sure what that is.
The muffler man, the big guy that's kind of holding the.
Oh, no,
They're
we
all
don't have
they're
any of that.
they're
No.
scattered all over the
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
hmm
And then I'm just trying to. I'm going off my memory here because Normal Theater I have written down.
The
Okay.
Normal Theater is a interesting attraction. Absolutely, it's in Uptown Normal, and it was built in 1937. And in the late 90s, the town bought that theater and did a complete historic restoration of the theater. And we show current films, old films, art films in that very popular venue. But it's got the original marquee with the neon lighting and that. It's quite a thing to see at night.
Are you guys doing anything for the centennial? Is there anything planned for the
We
city or
do we
any?
do have a lot of things. We're working on it right now, working with the state of Illinois group, and we're
Yeah.
working with the city of Bloomington. We have all kinds of events that we're planning for the next year.
Are a lot of them like this summer? That type of thing?
Yes, yeah, it's going to be focused into the summer. That's when
I'm
people can
curious to
travel.
see what's going to happen next year. Because it's kind of the it's kind of the pre-opening to the opening. Because the Route 66 isn't 100 until November.
Right.
Everybody's going to party beforehand, and then of course when next year comes, I wonder if anybody's going to. I mean, they will, but it's just kind of it's interesting how we do things nowadays from back when I was maybe a little bit
hmm
younger. Um, I always think about that with grand openings because they have soft openings and then they have friends and family openings. And back in my day, it was just closed and then it was opened. It's just
Right.
that's it. Didn't have all these pre-parties and all these other things to try to keep track of and this and that. But are you guys working with Bloomington much, or is
Oh,
on
very, very
something like this,
definitely.
or
With
what's that?
Bloomington and McLean County government. We're trying to coordinate all our activities, so it's as much as a broader community to the two cities and the counties working together on all
Yeah.
these events.
Um,
Some will be
is
in Normal, some will be in Bloomington.
is there a hall of fame or is a museum or anything like that in your community?
And it's on Route 66. It's called the McLean County Museum of History, and
Okay.
it's a nationally accredited history museum. It's a very, very good stop. And there's a uh, uh, Route 66 gift shop in the basement of that. And so a lot of people stop on the Route 66 drive. They'll stop at that museum.
Now, is that in Normal or Bloomington or
In
outside of
Bloomington.
town? It is in
It's in
Bloomington. Okay.
Bloomington. It's the old county courthouse, and it's been refurbished into a museum.
Yeah, you'll have to excuse me. The one thing I learned about the Route 66, Route 66 is that uh, you're not going to run out of ideas on how to connect with it. I mean,
Exactly.
there's and that's really one of the beauties of it. And so when we looked at how we're going to do our project, I try to be as original as I can, and I try to do things, that haven't been done before. Nobody likes a copycat type of a. That's how I was kind of growing up, and I didn't see anybody who did it by county. Most everybody did it by city or by this
Mm-hmm.
and that. I hadn't seen one by county. Now, I'm not saying it hadn't been done. I just hadn't found one, and so you'll have to excuse when you've got two cities next to each other because I'm writing everything down as counties. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to. So if
Sure.
I ask if one's in one town, you're the mayor of Normal, not Bloomington. So you are not necessarily representing Bloomington, although you live in the area, so you do
Mm-hmm.
you do notice things from time to time.
I'll
So
give you my famous tagline. I'm the only normal mayor in the United States.
there, hey, that's not bad. That's pretty good actually. That's you got to end, man. We got to end with that. Um, do you have any Route 66 experiences or favorite stops or memories or anything?
Um, I remember it as a kid. It was the road when I was a little kid. That was our equivalent of the interstate at that time to get to Chicago and that. And as a kid, we'd go to Chicago and we'd be on Route 66. So yeah, I have memories of it. It kind of went dark for a long time. I mean, people were using it; they were aware of it. Uh, Cyclists, motorcyclists, and a lot of European and Asian travelers. That's a bucket list to take Route 66
Hmm.
from Chicago to California.
Well, it's funny because here I live on Highway 59
Hmm.
in Minnesota, and it's the same story that it was fine back in the steam engine, steam railroad, wooden rail tracks days, but when
Hmm.
the interstate came in, all those towns dried up because
Absolutely
they
dried up.
just didn't have anything.
Hmm.
And so the town that I'm closest to, that I'm actually in right now, is called Fergus Falls, and it's part of the interstate. It's 45 minutes from Fargo, about an hour and a half from Minneapolis, but it's part of the master plan, if you will, because back in the railroad days, it was every 8 miles, so 16 was the towns. They were 16. It was 16
Hmm.
miles and then 16 miles back because you had to get home before dinner. That's how they did society. Was you left to sell your grain in the morning, dropped it off at the mill, drove home, you're home for dinner. And then in my neck of the woods, the towns are named after daughters and wives. In California, they're alphabetical, and it was water stops instead of
Hmm.
grain. And so it's kind of interesting how that works. And now it's EV chargers that our roads are being kind of what do you want to call it? Master planned around the master
Hmm.
planning is around that sort of thing. But
Yeah, we
uh,
we were one of the early adopters on EV.
I would bet you are with
Mhm.
as compact as you are there and as flat as you are.
Yeah. Uh,
Do you have charging stations there?
oh, we have lots of charging stations. We uh, we had what was called an energy block grant that the federal government did 1 year, and we put in charging stations with our block grant. And this was probably 14, 15 years ago. We put in 43 charging stations throughout the community. And there's a whole nother backstory on that. I won't get into that, but Tesla put their first supercharging station in the Midwestern United States in the parking deck in Uptown Normal,
Really?
because we developed an identity called EV Town. We were promoting ourselves as kind of on the cutting edge of electric vehicles, which we were. And we're at the juncture of three interstates in the middle of Illinois, so it made sense for them to do that. Now, they're everywhere now, but we had the first one there. And
You
we
answered my
also,
question. I was going to ask you if you've got two interstates crossing through each other, but you've got three.
exactly.
Up in Fargo, we were a test market for a long time. I used to tell people that, have you heard of Play It in Peoria? That Peoria, Illinois used to be a big test market for a lot of different
Right.
products. But in Fargo, we were a big test market because we had I-29 and I-94 that would cross through each other. And we were 3 hours from Winnipeg, 3 hours from Minneapolis. So we had big cities as well. And so we had vanilla Coke before anybody. We had paid 75 cents for the USA Today, while everyone else paid 50 cents. Whenever they were looking at hydrogen filling stations, Fargo was always one of the places they were going to identify. But you have three interstates going through there, and you're close to Joliet and Chicago. So I could imagine where Tesla was like, put these guys right at the front of the line. And if
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
and if you're in flat country, a car can get 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that sort
Absolutely.
of thing. You start getting down into Albuquerque, you're talking more like an hour, hour and a half now, especially if it's in Fort Collins where it's colder, a little bit less. You know, you got to start playing the different temperatures and grades and everything. But I could see where you guys would be EV
Yeah. Early
capital of the
on,
world.
early
What's that?
on, I was talking to a woman who had that drove a Tesla, and she had Wisconsin plates on, and she was in the parking deck. And I said, what brings you to Normal, Illinois? And she said, charging station. I've never been able to drive this far. So drove from Madison, Wisconsin down here, plugged her car in to get a charge, had lunch, and then drove back.
No, my understanding is that Route 66 is charging stations all the way through. That you should be
Yeah,
able to.
I think it's going to be important. The other thing that identifies us is in Normal, our major employer is a company called Rivian, who is a electric truck and SUV maker, a very large one.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard of them. They're out of Normal, huh?
Mm-hmm.
No kidding. Are they going to drive Route 66? Hey, there you go. You should there you go, Mayor.
We're working with them
Jump
on
in
that
there, maybe,
to
huh?
do some of that. Yeah, maybe a Rivian Caravan on Route 66.
Wouldn't that be fun, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That would be. Um, have you? Do you have a favorite restaurant or anything like that it can be in Normal or it can be somewhere along the way? You know, I know the Cozy Dogs seem to be a favorite because people can get either a hot dog or ice cream and that kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
if you were going to Chicago and back, imagine you stopped at a few places, huh?
I don't remember that. Are you talking as a kid or going
Oh, just
now?
anytime, yeah, anytime at
Yeah.
all.
So anymore, you just uh, believe it or not, when I go to Chicago now, I take a train because we have 10 trains a day between Chicago and St. Louis. So
I didn't
it's
realize that.
yeah, it's Amtrak service.
And it's Amtrak as well, huh?
It's Amtrak, yeah, and uh, the cost of a ticket is less than a half a day's parking in downtown Chicago.
Sure. And you can walk around and
Right.
and experience it. And yeah, I know we talk about up here in my neck of the woods, taking the Amtrak from Fargo to Washington and back because
Mm-hmm.
up in Glacier National Park and some of the areas of Montana and Idaho, there's no roads back there. It's just train tracks and wilderness. And so there's certain parts that are still pretty pristine that haven't been encroached upon by mankind. And some of the, I think they call it construction, others call it progress, and depending on what words you want to use for those types of things. But anyway, well,
Fargo,
all right, go ahead.
I have a lot of connections with Fargo. It keeps popping up. But I have two friends and business associates. Jim Hovland, who's the mayor of Medina, Minnesota, grew up in that area, and a real estate developer in Minneapolis named Michael Lander that we've been dealing with.
I've heard of
So,
both those individuals.
mm-hmm.
And I bought my bicycle and my son's bicycle at Island Park Cycles, is where I bought it from in Fargo. They've been around for a long time, 30, 40 years business type thing. And they sell the high end quality things, and do the repair. You got probably a 3-week waiting list for repairs, that type of thing, where they're just so packed and everything. And bicycles have really made a comeback in the past decade, really. For a while there, during the dirt bike and pickup truck phase, for a lot of people, bicycles didn't really, they kind of got made fun of a little bit. They kind of had a little social stigma to them. Now they've really made a comeback, whether it's the environmental movement or the health movement, or just, hey, cheap transportation movement, whatever you want to call it. Have they gone to the electric bikes yet? I know they've got attachments, which I think, much like the hybrid car, could really take off. Or because I know they keep trying to do the electrical bikes, but some of them are a little too big and they're a little bit too expensive for the average bike person. But those attachments, man, they can really work. Where's the electric bike market at?
It's growing. It's growing quite a bit. Most of your major brands, Specialized, Trek, and that have price points and different kinds of electric bikes. There are electric mountain bikes, electric road bikes, electric bikes that you can just ride on the street, and they're growing in popularity.
Trek's gotten into it, huh?
Oh, Trek's very definitely into it.
Yeah, then they'll definitely make sure they hit a consumer price point, because it seemed like municipalities were the customer at first when they would buy they would buy a dozen or half a dozen bikes for kind of a ride share, or some kind of, I don't know if you paid for it or it was like a library card system, but I saw them in communities everywhere.
Yeah, in their bigger communities, it's harder for a community our size to support something like that, because our footprint's so small. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, you go to any big city, there's ride share electric bikes.
Is that what they are? They're ride share? Is that what they're called? Yeah.
Well, it's like you said, it's like a library card.
And then they check them out and they bring them back. Great in theory, great system in theory. I have no idea how it played out or anything along those lines, but I know that anything to get bicycle transportation is good for the body. It's good for the environment, and it's great for. I like going on bike rides and just talking. That's what I like doing with people, just getting out and doing those types.
For our community, a standout is if somebody's doing an RV trip on Route 66. If they stop here, we have about 50 miles of bike trail in our community, and it's very scenic and very safe and quiet to ride on. So that's another good thing to do if you're stopping an overnight in Bloomington Normal. We've got great bike trail.
No, is it like rivers and trees, or what's it like?
It started as abandoned railroad lines. And, and we've just added on. You can't really build a subdivision in Bloomington Normal if you don't accommodate bike trail extension.
Really?
We're that committed to it.
We're that committed to it. That's quite the way to phrase it. All right. Hey, Boulder City, Nevada has population control. You ever been there? That's where the Hoover Dam is.
Never have.
It's where the Hoover Dam is, and they did the same thing where they actually had to build a railroad to bring the materials in to build the Hoover Dam, and then that railroad is now a walking trail. and I suppose you can probably bike on it too, I suppose. And it's closed from, what is it, May to September. Too many people will die of heat stroke, that type of thing. But
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
yeah, they've got population control there, so they don't want any more people in town. I love it.
We're done, huh?
Yeah, we're tapped out. Sorry, go to Henderson and Pahrump,
Right.
Nevada, that type of thing. But well, kind of wrapping up here. Number one, what do you want people to know as they drive through Normal, or if they want to spend some time in Normal? And what kind of takeaway do you have for this interview, I guess?
So I'd say, we're a classic Midwestern community with a great university system, and it's worth looking at. Good restaurants, easy to get around, friendly people. We're kind of amping up our Route 66 presence. We kind of neglected it for years, and probably the last 10 years, we've really been trying to do things to have reasons for people to stay and have a memory of being in Normal and Bloomington.
And I apologize, folks. I didn't mean to bury the lead here, but I do have one more note that I seem to have misplaced. And this is a trivia question. The very first Steak and Shake. The very first Steak and Shake is from Normal, Illinois. Wow.
On the corner of Virginia and Main Street on Route 66.
That's Americana right there.
It's a pizza place now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a pizza place. It's not a Steak and Shake anymore. It's a pizza place.
It's not a Steak and Shake now. We've got Steak and Shakes in the community, but the original, because it was built next to a creek, and it's in a flood zone, so they couldn't really do anything with it to do a major rehab on it.
Yeah,
because it's in a flood zone. But there are two Steak and Shakes. But Steak and Shake was founded in Bloomington, Normal, by a man named Gus Belt.
Gus Belt, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, so
he had a gas station. He started making hamburgers out of it and started Steak and Shake.
Oh, sure. Okay, I just did a quick search here. Gus owned the Shell service station and added a restaurant to it where his wife Edith sold burgers and shakes.
Yep.
He served the steak burger. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't realize that. Okay, now it's a pizza place, but it's a Monacle?
Monocle's Pizza. Mm-hmm.
Monocle's Pizza. How's the pizza there?
It's good. It's a good pizza.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You never know now. Pizza turned into like craft beers for a while. Like it was all of a sudden, the pizzas were now square and they were this thick, and they had some kind of basil sprouts on them instead of basil and microgreens, and that's fine. That's fine. I just sometimes I just want a pizza.
Yep, exactly.
Well, Mayor Chris Koos, thank you for your time today, sir.
Glad to be with you and talk about my community.